more tales of Ciri to offer you, but go with me and I'll be generous with what I do have. Very generous.
Extra coin never hurt.
Ha! True indeed. I'll round up my men and ride to Down.
Exactly, Morgana. And
me.
that sounds amazing to me.
Sounds good.
There you are. Sorry,
Dia?
What was that?
You dressed up your lubkin?
Tell me, man or monster? My men call him Uma and say he's a beast.
Oh.
But he seems a man to me. Just hideous as Ardle shit.
Uma.
I was gonna say, they all kind of just look like
Aye,
little fleshy
strange.
turds to
But he
me.
gave us no other.
You mean he can talk?
Hardly. It was like this. I asked what they called him. He sat there, not saying a thing, trying to stick a toe up his nose. So I grabbed his hand, looked him in the eyes, and asked, "What's your name?" Gave me this damn foolish look and stammered, "Oh, Uma?" And it stuck.
Huh.
Doesn't look like a monster, but my medallion's trembling. Strange. Where'd you find him?
Funny story, actually. I won him in a game of cards.
I've never won things like that in cards. I am playing cards with the wrong people.
Must have been pretty desperate to play for that.
Ah, quit your carping, smarter. Someone wagered him, and we played. If anyone was desperate, it was the bugger's former master.
Funny story. How so?
Went to Novigrad once to rest, indulge in the city's pleasures. Stayed at a tavern, and some folk there were playing, so I joined in. Cards were kind that day. Had one devilish hand after another. Robbed the horse.
Well, Morgana, the first question, of course, would be what edition of Dungeons and Dragons? Because that determines an awful lot of things about how much you have to put into your character sheet.
Asked him what he had to wager, and he showed me that sideshow. Not much in it for me, but fuck it, I thought. I'll give the man a chance to win something back. Luck was not with him, and Uma wound up here at Crow's Perch. End of story.
Hilarious. Real side splitter.
Oh, you wouldn't know a good tale from a runny fart.
What?
Proper baron now. Even got a jester.
Aye, though I feel something's not right with him.
How so?
Well, he seems more beast than man, but there's wisdom, cunning in the bastard's eyes. Or maybe I'm imagining it. Ever run into anything like him?
No, but he doesn't look dangerous.
I guess that's that. Doesn't eat much, so as long as he's no trouble, the boys might as well have some diversion.
Time I was on my way. So long.
Farewell. I hope you find your daughter. And prove a good father to her.
Oh, I don't know. We haven't seen her for an awfully long time. Not much fathering to do, I think, at this point. Hell, when last we saw her, she was what? 8, 9, 10? Pre-teens? Now she's a woman? Oh, well that's nice. But no. Gonna do it. Gonna go back to the bog. Well, Morgana, it doesn't really actually take any kind of division. Honestly, for the most part, all it really takes is addition and subtraction. The only time it takes any kind of division is when a spell says something like, increases an effect by 50%. And basically what that means is take half of the number and then add it. So if something was supposed to do 8 damage, half of that is 4, so a 50% increase to 8 would be 12. And that's something that, like, never really happens. Most of the time in D&D, it's rolling dice, unless you're the dungeon master. Then you might have to do some stuff, but it's usually not much. When it comes to the actual player, it's rolling dice for the most part. So, in any case, though. Roll dice, count numbers, and addition, subtraction. D&D primarily is a game about imagination. You sit down before you've even made your character and you go, what kind of character do I want to make? And you go about trying to make that character. You look at the stats and you say, I want to be a character who's a silver-tongued assassin. So you set up your skills to be like, okay, I'm good at bartering with people, I'm good at persuading people, and I have good combat skills, or something like that. Or you're like, oh, you know, I want to play a guy who's a complete dunce when it comes to, like, day-to-day affairs. Like, you know, he's completely oblivious, but he's a powerful mage. So you would have really, really low wisdom, which can be construed as common sense in some regards, but really high intelligence. And you play your character that way. It's role-playing. But yeah, pretty much, Morgana, except in Skyrim, they take care of the die rolls for you behind the scenes. Basically, what's happening in Skyrim, every time you, like, go to attack a monster, behind the scenes somewhere, it's going, okay, you know, your weapon does this much damage to this much, so it rolls a die, it applies it to the enemy, and then it subtracts their armor, or whatever, how they want to set that up. So, it's exactly like that. It's just, you take care of the die rolls. The thing I've always enjoyed about D&D is it's a lot freer than any game. It's freer than Skyrim, it's freer than Witcher, it's freer than Baldur's Gate, which is Dungeons & Dragons. Because when you sit down to play a tabletop role-playing game, whatever you want is what happens. Whatever you want. If you're walking down the street and you're like, okay, I'm gonna have my character punch this guy, you know, you could do that if you're playing especially a chaotic character who tends to be ruled by their impulses. Like, that's the world. And there's mechanics for that in games that you just don't get, you know. You're always eventually going to think of something that a developer didn't think of. But in D&D, your imagination is the game. This is why I've always loved D&D incredibly. A world of pure imagination. Sell my things, get my loot, buy my rakes. Damn, cleaned them out.
See ya.
Cleaned them out and we still have more stuff to sell. There's the merchant in town, though. We can probably get some stuff to him, too. She was 11 when last we saw her. I bet if I checked the characters, it would say how old she is now, but she's definitely a woman. So I'm gonna say it's probably been at least a decade since we saw her last. I think they mentioned it at some point in the game, but I'm not incredibly good at remembering dates and times. Go figure.
Or a bit of dry curd. The ladder's not exactly bursting, but what I got sure to please.
A bumbling knight can be fun. A character who means well and tries to do the right thing, and either because they're kind of inept or they just don't quite understand what's going on in the world, don't always make things better. It's that kind of character that can make amazing stories in D&D. I have a lot of D&D experiences, and not all of them are like, okay, like, we are a troop of heroes who are going off to, like, fight evil. Plenty of them have started off as, like, we just want to make money, or I don't know, she was pretty, so I followed her, and look what happened. Or just what have you. That's one thing I love about playing with other people instead of games also, because as much as games like The Witcher and other things can surprise me, and they always do, people will surprise me way more often. Like, just getting together with my friends and them just being like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and it's like, alright, well, that'll work with these skills, so roll the dice and see what happens, you know. And that's a fun thing I always had with being a DM, because it made me think on my feet. Because when they're throwing things at me that I don't expect, as a DM, if you're doing a good job, you can't exactly look at them and go, no, 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 you're not allowed to do that. That's no good. I don't want you to do that for the story. You might as well just go write a book then. So it was always fun to come up with on the fly and be like, oh, why are you stealing all the chickens? Well, alright, that's fine. Roll this. Oh, somebody noticed. Now you gotta talk your way out of it. Oh, you're a traveling veterinarian from the town over, and you're examining all of the chickens for a plague that's going on. You roll your persuasion, you manage to persuade the farmer, now you have all of his chickens. Okay, what are you gonna do with them? Like, fun times. So.
Why the devil are they witch hunters here to start with? They didn't ride from Novigrad to hanging 2 long-tits, did they?
I don't know, my lord.
They say where they were headed?
Geralt! Good, you've arrived. Can't draw any meaning from this rabble's boredom. Perhaps they talk some sense after a few lashes. Well, spit it out. Where'd they go?
To the village in the swamp, lord. Lass rode with him, asking after her mother, Constance.
Lass. We must go there at once, Geralt.
Agreed.
Gather my men. With the swamp to cross and our cursing crows to hunt down.
This isn't gonna make us very popular, is it?
Plough and swamp. Pox-ridden air from us brand-rotting peasants. Crowns thumping. What will these hayseeds think of next?
I think the big one's gonna like the Baron.
Right. More likely some mad old wenches making mincemeat of the peasant minds. Like
You'll be surprised!
Care for them out of the kindness of their hearts. Good as gold.
I love how we completely disregarded what we told him.
Winds howling.
That's, like I said, Morgana, tabletop role-playing games, love them. Characters who have a flaw of some kind can always be a lot of fun. Hell, it's part of the reason why in RimWorld I don't always just re-roll characters until they don't have certain negative traits. You end up with good stories. I don't know, guys. That was just a couple of drowners, and most of you just died. Not on your life. Like people who start fires, especially fires in wooden buildings, while throwing a party. Hey guys, let's have a party! Woo! Yes. Like those people. We have some bread. Let's put some bread on our hot bar here. At the very least, we can do some healing between fights. You know, I really wish I could have just